Today, I'm here to tell you about the mysterious world of a young girl who dreams about the future and attempts to escape in this puzzle adventure game called Very Little Nightmares. Spoilers ahead. Well, let's begin. The story begins with a young child in a yellow raincoat running from something. As she locks herself in a shed, it quickly transitions to her waking up in a hot air balloon at the attic of some mansion. As she traverses the landscape, you notice that everything around her seems to be enormous in comparison to her size. You will then see these Jack-in-a-Box cubes, and opening them will pop out mysterious characters. The last section of the stage presents its first mechanic, where you need to learn to double tap to your destination to make our character run. After finishing the first stage, you are then face to face with another small child, who seems afraid and is running from something. She quickly left your presence, all the while making you notice that you are in a room that's full of what seems to be small cages. Cages that are perfectly made for small creatures like you and the mysterious girl you encountered earlier. To finish the stage, you will need to enter a vent-like opening at the end of the room, which will bring you to your first encounter with the enemy called the Craftsman. This creature appears to be disabled and is sitting in a wheelchair. After descending down, you notice another small creature locked away in a cage, begging for help. You then went to the room next to it and have managed to get the key sitting on top of a shelf, breaking it and alarming the Craftsman. The key you acquire is then used to free the child in the cage. Then the two of you form a quick alliance to open the door at the end of the room. Moving on to a very ominous atmosphere, you then enter this dark room with a very strange looking light source in the shape of an eye. This eye seems to function as the security system in the room, which you will later learn causes anyone like you to turn to stone when exposed to its light, much like staring into Medusa's eyes. You notice that there were already those who fall victim displayed across the room. After that somewhat cozy chill room, you had your grand encounter with the Craftsman, making this the highlight of the chapter. You'll need to outsmart him as you can't outrun him without proper strategy. Since he has limbs that can literally swat you out of the sky. He continues to chase you to the next room as well, but luckily he gives up after a few attempts, if he didn't catch you. You will then enter this room that has a false floor all over, and you wonder why the Craftsman didn't fall. Plot twist, I guess. Before long, you'll be transported to an elevator riding these boxes, having the same eye pattern that the security system has. This is then where you'll meet the second enemy, the Butler, which appears to have the ability to float in the air. Following this, you find yourself in a very dark room, and you'll then find a match that's the size of you to light your path. As you move onward, you'll be facing a chute which you crawl and fall towards to what seems to be a dumping site. While you explore this very untidy place, there seems to be something from below that seeks after you. You then go through a series of puzzles to make a path for you to continue. At the end of what seems to be an infinitely sized room, after completing these puzzles, you'll ascend this structure through the falling debris. The room on top of that requires you to solve a riddle, or in this case, pattern. After entering the next room and grabbing a disassembled hanger, you'll see the mysterious girl once again entering the same room you just went out of. A number of puzzles later, you're then face to face, or in this case face to back, with the Butler. You notice the key to your right, but as soon as you grab it, he sees you and uses telekinesis to hinder your progress. This evidently will force you to find an alternative way to finish the puzzle. You make use of the iron to sneak past his vision and proceed to the next room. You then travel all the way to the back, only to see a door shut tight by a lock, which means you think the key at the start of the room is the only way to get out of this ordeal. You'll make use of the washing machine to grab his attention away from the leftmost room, but beware, if he sees you. After successfully getting the key, you must yet again travel past him, which seems easy enough. Just kidding. After that dreadful series of events, you are then brought to a steam room, I guess, and make your way to finish puzzles and find a way to escape the butler. Escape the butler. Escape the butler? Finally! Soon after, you find yourself falling down the ceiling, and for the first time in a while, you see the young girl, but only for a moment before further descending the dusty room. You then find yourself in a playroom. Your goal here is to find the gnomes in their hiding spot. These feisty creatures then jump into the bed, making it fall apart, which doesn't seem realistic given their size and number compared to the bed, but honestly, who cares? After this segment, nothing to take note of really happened. You walk past the butler while he's doing chores. You then enter this dining hall with creepy looking dolls of children who are pretty much exactly like our girl, and parkour ourselves across the chandelier to the next room. This ominous room greets us with the static screech of a TV, and if you, in your wildest dreams, decided to turn it off and sit in the big red chair, well... This is actually the part where you must humble yourself and sit on the baby's bench along with your buddies. Pushing forward, you enter below the room of what seems to be a tea party. What surprises you was the appearance of a small, quite literal white lady sitting in the middle of the room who will serve as the final boss of the game. Your music skills will then be tested as you try to piece together the puzzle for this room, which essentially is just to play the notes in ascending order. Yay! As you found yourself in the makeshift elevator, you notice that the pictures on the wall might be the dolls you saw earlier, indicating that they were once living. As you walk along the balcony of the house, you will then spot the same small white lady dragging along the child with the scarf you saved earlier. You will then try to follow them, but unfortunately the butler catches up to you.
Bruh.
Luckily, after like the 20th try, you managed to slip past his reach, which started a very long chase sequence with occasional
Bruh. 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 Bruh.
where you need to go, past countless hands, falling pillars,
Bruh.
past the Toilet of Doom, and across the gate with the help of the girl you first meet. After a very nerve-wracking series of events, you then proceed to almost fall down a bridge that's snapped in half. As you enter the shed, you're reminded of the dream you've had from the start of the game. But in this scene, it became clear who was chasing after you alongside the one banging at the door. But luckily you didn't wake up, but exited through the shaft behind you. After walking past what seems to be a modern day Holocaust, you then exited the cave to the tune of a woman who seems to be very sad, but be very careful, for she is a very big threat. As you enter her playing field, she shrieks as if she's just seen her prey and proceeded to follow after you like a maniac. You then have one of the most epic cliff chasing scenes I've seen in my life. You will then collab with the other best girl and tag team demolish the Pretender, which is a name that I've somehow forgotten to mention up until this point. Anyway, just when you thought she's done for, she decided to pull off the greatest trick in the book, the playing dead method. Well played, Pretender, well played. You then both plummet to the ocean, signifying the end of the game. After a very hair-standing experience and a great ending scene, if you stay until the end, you will see this end sequence. Subscribe for more videos like this as we're trying to hit 1,000 subs before the end of 2022. Paalam!